farmer, friend, singer-songwriter, Lyal Strickland.
And that's farmer, friend, and jack of all trades, Chris Horn.
And we're those Tastebudguys.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're doing something a little bit different today, as you can tell. Every once in a while we come into this little room and we do something in a little bit long form or more podcasty type scenario. That's exactly what we're doing today. If this is the first time you're watching this show, this is not normal. We're going to do something that probably lasts 45 minutes to an hour. We're guessing maybe 30 minutes. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. If you watch our normal short stuff, then you know how different this is for us. So this is something we actually take a minute and talk about what we're doing beforehand, so we have a little bit of a idea. Preparation. And ideally, we even do a little bit of editing, so we cut out all the ums and buts and we get right to the thing. Today, we've got a really interesting episode, we think, because we recorded back in October 2023 Rejon Tequila, this bottle right here, actually.
A while ago.
Yeah. And one of our favorite things about doing this and finding something new all the time and doing those experiences, you never know what you're getting. You never know what's what. And this was just a bottle that was randomly picked out that we think I bought 2 years ago. We're not even 100% sure. But the point is, we did the episode, and then a month or so ago, the owner of Rejon Tequila, Julio Rejon, actually reached out to us and said, hey, he's seen the episode. We really liked it. We kind of fanboyed over it a little bit and wanted to know if he could send us some more stuff. Not only did he send us stuff, but he agreed to do a little interview with us and give us an education on some of the stuff we screwed up and continually screw up, apparently. Yeah. And so, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to chat a little bit about what we talked about with him. We're going to put some excerpts in here from the video we recorded from the Zoom call. I guess it was Zoom or whatever we used. And hopefully you guys enjoy this. If you do, comment down below. Let us know what you think of this format, and maybe we'll do some more of it more often than what we currently do.
We also just started with the Extra Añejo.
Yeah, let's make that the first comment, actually, yes.
Julio suggested that we work backwards in terms of aging, which is something we never did. Right?
No, we always start with a cheap one, go to the expensive one. He's like, nah, you're doing it wrong. Start with the one that has the delicate flavor and work into the harsh stuff. I'm like, it makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
Oh, we never thought about that. We're not going to get into doing reviews of this today. We might talk a little bit about it inconsequentially, but we will do all three of these on the short form, so you guys can look those episodes up. Yeah. We'll probably even redo this one again.
The Tequila Blanco, or Tequila Rejon Blanco that we got was just like a random bottle. And like, it's, one of the things I dislike about tequila is that it seems like there's a lot of latitude in like what constitutes a non-additive tequila, what constitutes like handcrafted, all this stuff. Okay. This stuff, for talking to Julio, is like pretty, actually, I say it's not as, how do I say this? It's not, he told us it's not artisanal. It's not like they're out in the hills with no machinery, but his is semi-industrial.
Yes. I mean, there's different, like, and this goes for mezcal and sotol and pretty much everything. There's ancestral, there's primitive. Primitive means like you don't have any help from animals. You yourself carry the water, you buy the river, you chop the plants, you do all of it. So that's like primitive. And then ancestral is that you still do everything hand mashed. Like you mash everything, no animal, no crushing. Like you don't use an animal to crush anything. So that's ancestral, and you usually use clay pots and running water to ferment and to distill, right? Mm-hmm. And then once you get to artisanal, you already have like a horse helping you grind the agaves, and you already have a help, Mm-hmm. And then once you get to semi-industrial, you have electricity. You have like a machine that helps you mash it, So that's semi-industrial. And then you have industrial where everything's just mechanical, right? So all those different processes will also affect the flavor of the alcohol. And our tequila is semi-industrial. Okay. We're still hands-on. You still cut the plant, but you don't mash it. You have a machine mash it, and it's more industrial than semi-industrial
Okay.
because you have to produce so much.
Okay.
It's the other stuff he sent us, the Polsch, the Dundante, and
That was the artisanal.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
like
Okay.
old school shit.
You're right. So yeah, I guess we should point out we've got some other bottles that Julio sent to us. We'll be doing those in a different long form, so hopefully they'll be up by the time you see this one.
You don't know, like if you just pick up a random bottle and you don't have time to do the research on it, you're either getting something good, something middle of the ground, or something shit, right?
Right, and you have no idea.
And we didn't when we got the Blanco. It was just, here's another bottle of tequila, let's try it, and it wound up being quite good. Tequila, I think more than a lot of other liquors, there are laws around what makes a tequila, right? But they're also pretty vague, and you can skirt some rules, and there's a lot of play there. I think one of the things I really enjoyed about talking to Julio is his description of those different ways of making tequila, from primitive, ancestral, artisanal, all this stuff, and then just point blank saying like, we're semi-industrial. We use, I think it was autoclaves.
Yeah, I
have to
think
go
he
back
said
to-
that.
But he's like, we do as much as we can, but then at some point you've got to turn it over to some machines to like crank out
To get the
enough
product out.
Yeah,
Yeah, the batch it out.
and also, just moving out of the hills. Like I said, onto roads that you can get a semi truck in.
Yeah, he talked pretty extensively about that. He sent me a fair amount of pictures too, which we'll try to share some of those. I'm not sure how many we'll get out, but we'll do what we can do. Additives. He did talk a little bit about additives as well and what makes an additive.
Yeah.
Now, one thing before we show this clip, the thing I want to add is I think he said in it was 0.01%.
Yes.
Was allowed for additives, but when we looked it up, because we looked something up, it actually says on the tequila, what was it called? Tequila.
I think it might have been. I think it was Tequila Matchmaker, but
No, it was a website we looked up, but I can't remember it was something to do with the tequila Lord Kings of Tequila thing. And it said 1%, so
yeah.
whatever.
I think it's 1% is what I had always heard.
Yeah.
But you can have. I also always heard that you could have up to 1% of additives in 4 different categories. And after reading what we read the other day, it looks like those 4 categories are just generally what people do.
Yeah.
Right?
So, Julio talks about it here, and he can explain, but it tends to mostly be sugar.
I've worked with really, and that's like when you go into like super industrial things, or the distilleries. And I've had I work with a distillery, which I'm gonna go see them next week, and we've sat down and we've tasted all the additives, like glycerine, vanilla, you name it, everything. And we're like, so now that I taste something, I'm like, oh, that has this, that has that. you know, like you become kind of a pro of what it tastes like. And that's just to make it more palatable to the public, right?
And I wish there was a way. I wish they were more strict on just saying like this has X in it, like it has additives. You don't have to put the quantities or what's in it, but like this one has additives. And because I feel like a lot of those really pricey premium bottles have additives, and it's for somebody who is just looking for a nice bottle of tequila. You should. It's like when oat water is called oat milk, or soy water is called soy milk. I know this is getting petty, but I know there's some dairy associations that have had some lawsuits trying to claw back the term soy milk, because it's not milk, right? And it does cloud the waters in that regard of it's milk. And it's those are 2 very different things. And I feel like additives in tequila versus additive free, legit, this is just tequila, that is what it is. They're basically 2 different products. One is
This is the same group of people that waters all their milk now that comes out of the cow so they can bulk it up.
yeah.
We're not even getting milk. If they want our whatever.
Well, or it's the difference between Mrs. Butterworth's and true Vermont maple syrup. I won't say Canadian because it's 25% higher now, but
I don't know if you'll be able to get it.
but like it's a significant difference. And we're drinking the extra añejo, and
Pushing through.
so we talked to Julio about this, and he said like all of these are non-additive tequilas, but this is quite sweet, this extra añejo.
Yeah.
And he says it all comes from the wood, the barrels that they're aged in. That's where that mellowness comes out.
Yeah, exactly. It's because that's sugar also, because the casks have sugar. They have a resin, and that resin has a certain sugar. The plants, the trees have sugar. That's how they live.
Yeah.
So that's it's a sugar as well, right? But even in those, they add sugar or caramel or anything like that. But if you notice, when they don't have additives, it's more like water. Once your mouth gets used to the alcohol, you can drink it like if nothing. It's easy,
Mm-hmm.
But when it has sugar, you're like, and I can't. It's just I'm full,
Yeah.
It's like you ate an ice cream or something.
Yeah.
And he says it all comes from the wood, the barrels that they're aged in. That's where that mellowness comes out.
Yeah. So,
He also said this is a 9-year,
right.
and the next batch will be 5-year, based on just taste profiles and stuff. Yeah.
I guess that was part of this. Let's just jump to that right now.
So Repo tends to be my favorite all the time, but I am going to ask you a question now to lead into this next one. We noticed we went Blanco, Repo, and then Extra Añejo. That's not the first time I've seen that, skipping the Añejo, going to the Extra Añejo. Is there a reason you do that, or that people in general do that?
No, we did it because since we aged the reposado 9 months and it's almost kind of a year, we're like, why have an añejo when it's almost an añejo, right? So we skip it to the extra añejo, and we have a lot of barrels.
Yeah.
And they just get, like, the first time I came out with the product, it was a 12-year. And then it was a 11, 12, 9 years. So this one's a 9-year that we have. And then right now, I think we're running out of I have 5 more cases of the 9-year, and then everything that's coming after that, it's like 5 years.
Wait, when you're saying 9-year, you mean
It's aged 9 years. So with extra añejo, like añejo is 1 year to 3 years, right?
yeah?
After 3 years, an extra añejo. So most people wait until 3 years and then they bottle it, right?
Yeah, that's what I assumed most of them were. Yeah, so
Yeah, so most of them are 3 years, but we right now what we have in the distillery, it's 5-year, but what you're drinking this one is a 9-year.
We noticed with Rejon that there's a Blanco, a Repo, and an extra.
But not an añejo.
Yeah, no añejo. But we're gonna play this clip because I was thinking it, but Chris nailed it without even blinking. We ran across another tequila years ago that went Blanco, Repo, extra añejo.
And also had a lot of similarities. So, yeah.
Very similar.
Turns
So,
out.
Comes through that's suppressed. So the only other really spicy, we don't even want to call it spicy, but it has this characteristic of the extra añejos that we've had, was the number 1, the Ron White's that he did.
Yeah.
He does an extra añejo, and it's got a bit of this woody, almost tobacco note to it that makes it, I think we said it, feel Scotch-like.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting here. Is this one coming?
Well, it's because we work together. We work together.
Oh, really?
Like Ron White and Alex Raimundo, we work together. I helped them create that number 1.
I'm so good at this. Damn, I'm good at this.
Yeah. So as I move on to the Reposado.
Oh, I love that reposado. Right now, people are starting to get to know it. It's delicious. It's because we age 9 months. It's because for a reposado, it has to be 3 months and under a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we age them 9 months, right? But what we do with our reposado, it's half is French oak, right, from cognac barrels, and half is American oak or bourbon, right? And the different, like we have so many different bourbon casks, like from Wild Turkey, we have Jack Daniel. I mean, it's everything. And same thing with the French, and it's just a blend. So it's 9 months and 9 months, and then it's a blend. And we don't, I don't want to say like it's 50-50, but we kind of just do a small test, and then we say, okay, well, this one's 60-40, or we just mess with it in every lot because sometimes it's too weighty.
That you change it up depending. But here's the thing: is I get the nose on this thing. It's got this almost mushroom and pepper nose to it, really earthy, which I love that. And then when you get to the drinking, it's just a sweet, heavy, fruity, and
Also, it also depends on where we get the plants from, because there's lowland, there's a valley, there's the lowlands, and then there's the highlands. So there's 3 different areas where we get plants from. And usually the ones in the valley are real peppery, right? It's very pepper and very mineral. And then in the highlands, when the French came in, they planted a lot of peaches and orange trees, a lot of citrus. So you get a lot of that tone. And also the terrain is different. On the highlands, it's like that red dirt, kind of like Colorado. It's real red. And in the lowlands and valley, it's very like volcanic. It's like you see the dirt and it's black, but it shines because it's a lot of minerals in it. So that'll give you the different tastes, no? So that's why it'll always change depending where we get the plants from. And we grow our own plants, but sometimes when we run out, we have to buy. From the market. It all depends on the season.
All right, so
I cannot. This fucking stuff is delicious.
it's really good.
I want to like. I want to caveat and not just fanboy over it, but like, it is just, maybe it's just today. It's hitting the spot today. And I haven't had a repo in quite a while that had this level of like sweetness and depth. This still had enough bite and pepperiness to it that it's just so well balanced.
I think that's the difference in the aging. Whereas this one ended up being aged in bourbon barrels, he said this one was aged in French oak. And lately for us, French oak, or for me, a lot of bourbon stuff's been aged in French oak, and that's the one that's really been like, every time I get one, I'm like, this is really good, and I start looking up, ends up being aged in French oak. So something French oak's doing to them right now is really speaking to me.
I think French oak mellows everything out really nicely.
Let's go to the Blanco.
I feel bad talking about the Blanco while I still got repo in my glass.
We got plenty more things to talk about. So, the Blanco, which is the first thing we started with, and the thing we're going to end with as we wrap up this show today, which is probably about halfway done right now, if I was guessing what the little slider says at the moment. So the Blanco.
Really good Blanco. And one of the things we liked about it, if I recall, like I said, I've got repo in my glass right now, so I've got to refresh myself in a second.
I'm already in.
But it is that the Blancos we tend to like. You like very spicy ones, right? Very spicy, peppery.
Typically, I want to fight it a little bit.
I like a little bit of that, but I don't want any sour. I like a more
I don't want
depth.
a sour.
But one of the things that we always go back to, I love this cheese funk, moldy, weird smell that comes off of these non-added tequilas. In my mind, I actually enjoy the nose on it, and also it imparts that I know that what's in the glass is going to be pretty damn tasty. You, however, correct me if I'm wrong,
I hate the smell of it.
but
it's always a good indicator that I'm about to have a good tequila. Now, after he explained where that come from,
how do you feel about that?
I feel a little less excited about that. I don't know that I want to like that anymore.
It's like going to like a I'll use something from our area here in the Ozarks to illustrate this point. But I'm sure a taco truck, I think, would work just as well, or name your fast food. Cashew chicken joints in Springfield, Missouri. The more questionable it is in terms of health codes, the better the food is. almost every time.
Almost.
Not all the time. So you can cross a line.
Yeah.
But the cheese
It's the same with Waffle House.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great thing. So, but he was talking about the cheese funk, and I guess we'll probably play this clip about where this cheese funk comes from. So, yes, play the clip.
Every lot is different, and usually since we don't add yeast, it's pretty much natural occurring yeast. That's a lactic yeast. It's a lactic. That's why it's cheesy, right? And different. I don't know about the lot that you have now, but just different lots have it, and some lots don't. You know, it's always gonna change depending on the lot.
Interesting. Okay.
But you know, and usually like sometimes people they put their hands in the when it's fermenting to get the oxygen, the air out, right? And that's why we have that in our skin, right? So you kind of add that yeast in there without wanting to, you know, or you do it with a stick or something. It's just yeast is always all over. Like if you change your distillery, you redesign it, you're gonna take a lot of the flavor out because the yeast is everywhere, you know. And since if there's like a friend of mine right now where I'm gonna go, they redesigned their whole distillery, but the fermentation tanks, they were wood, so now they're stainless steel. But the wood that was there before, they wrapped the stainless steel with the wood, so they can still get that yeast that's in the wood from years and years and years of fermenting, and the buildings too. If you change the roof, you're gonna change the flavor of your alcohol because of the yeast. Or you know, you add like champagne yeast or whatever yeast. You play music, whatever. You know, everything's gonna affect the taste of it, right? But it's just natural occurring yeast, and it's always gonna be different.
All right. So the cool thing about that is that like we both love lambic beers, right? I mean, like those, and they're made with wild yeast. I don't know if they're all made this way, or if it was just the.
Well, I mean, I think that's what makes it a lambic, is naturally fermenting.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm getting ready.
Well,
to say,
I guess technically it's a regional thing, but I think that's part of their.
I was prefacing something before I actually got it out of my mouth. Is it Lindemans, right? Is that the one?
I think so,
okay,
yeah.
that's the one we drink.
It's either that or that's the ones that make the chocolate. I can't remember.
So. Oh, now you've got me confused. Oh, I think you're right. Is it? Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, but they're the ones that like raise like a vat of like mash up into the air, right, in a tower like 80 feet or something like that, and let the wild yeast that's roaming around in the air like come and ferment their mash, right? So it's like that, and he just talked about, you know, the distillery they worked out, helping them redesign stuff and then putting the wood around the tank, and also people's hands. But like, I feel like that's the magic quotient of liquor. Like, there's just some things you can't replicate by dumping in a little packet of yeast. Like some stuff just magic is where it is,
and other stuff which brought us around to mixtos, and we'll play that one for you now. What he said when he's like, "What the heck's a mixto anyhow?"
They cut it with any, I guess they use sugar, like just plain sugar, and they also use any grain that's cheap in the market to cut it. It just has to be 49% tequila. No, 51% tequila, and the rest can be any other, you know, thing that you can make alcohol with.
So Julio's been at this a long time. Apparently, it's a family game for him. I think they said they've been at it something like 100 years as far as being involved.
At least with Rejon, that's his family's brand, right?
Yeah, that is his family's brand.
But he also helps a ton of other families,
right? But it's what I say, he's been involved in this for quite a while.
Yeah.
And we asked him a little bit about why, you know, he was involved, how long he's been involved.
Because he's a drummer. We tried to get him to join our band, but we got to move to Texas.
So, anyhow, here's him talking a little bit about his time and start within the tequila industry.
How long have you been doing this, or at least with this brand? How long? 5 years. This was in the works.
Oh, with this brand, Now it's gonna be like 10 years.
I was gonna say this was 9 years old, so I can do some math.
But it took years, you said, to get everything kind of figured out with this brand.
Yeah, no, it took us 5 years to make it, think of the, everything. But I had already been working with the distillery for many years before that. I started when I was 20 and I'm 57. So, but I started with mezcal, and then I was on tour in Guadalajara, and a friend of mine told me, why don't you come and, meet my uncle, and he's in the tequila business. So, we met up, and he said, oh, you're from Laredo? Why don't you get your import license? Because my family has been brokers, like custom brokers for like over 120 years. So I have like the bonded warehouses and, from my family. So it was an easy, change. So I got my import license and I started, a new business.
So the other thing I love about this tequila is that I constantly get calls and messages from people going like, hey, I actually feel like I get it more with tequila than most things, but people will call and they'll go, hey,
For me, it's bourbon, but yes.
what bottle do I buy for this gift, for this occasion, or just for myself? Like, what's good at the store? I don't want to fuck up and get something shitty. And I will always generally say for tequila, if you are okay with some additives or some maybe not amazing tequila, but you're gonna not walk away with from the party with it, there's Cuervo Tradicional, there's Terramana, there's a handful of others.
See, I love Traditional.
Tequila Lleno.
Actually, we talked to him about one of the last things we asked him was what his go-to down there with Mexico. What's the Budweiser of tequilas for Mexico down there?
Yeah.
And he said we all grew up drinking
Tradicional.
Tradicional was one of them.
And
Salsa.
yeah.
And what was the other
Hornitos.
one? Hornitos, yeah. And which I love Salsa, and which I think we'll play that clip in a different thing, but so side note.
Yeah.
And Tradicional is one I also really like as well. So I think you can't go wrong with them.
I think, yes, I would favor Tradicional myself, but out of those three, I flat don't like Hornitos myself.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
But all that to say, those are $20-ish bottles, right?
Traditional is over 30 now. I seen it for like 34. Wow. To be fair, that was local, so knock at least $5 off.
Yeah.
To go to
For
Springfield.
the Blanco? Too? Or was it?
Oh, no, I think that was the Repo.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
But still, quite a bit of money for the tequila. It's not like amazing.
But these
fall in the tequiliano range for me of like.
Yeah, he said this was a $20-ish bottle. This was a 20-something, probably upper 20s, mid-20s.
And let's save this one for a second.
Okay.
I want to get to that. But the Blanco and the Repo being in the 20-ish range, like normally drinking this, like this drinks to me like a $60 Blanco.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say $50 all day long.
Happy to pay that for it. Balloon it up to 80, I'd still probably get it. Past 80, I probably wouldn't do it.
How about a Blanco?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that I would ever give $80 for a Blanco.
I would
Again, if you're charging me $80 for a Blanco, an unaged product, the only reason I want to drink that is because it's got a lot of gusto, and I don't want. And I'm thinking if you're charging that much, you're doing something to it. If you're doing something to it, I'm probably less happy with it.
I believe there's some. I think Ocho. I don't think Ocho is that much. I think Fortaleza is that much for their Blanco. In fact, maybe more. But all that say, this is a hell of a deal. And he specifically said, like,
well,
without the additives, tequila is tequila. Like, it's just the minute differences in how it's produced and all this stuff, which leads us to the...
Well,
yes.
You asked him specifically about pricing of it, which will... Are you want to talk about that before we go into pricing?
No, let's just roll clip.
All right. Lyle asked him specifically about why pricing changes and how it gets priced because we was talking about this. Here's why.
The prices have jumped, but it seems like tequila in general has gotten more and more expensive.
Well, that was because that was the prices of agave when I started, and right now it's about the same price. It was 30 pesos a kilo, right?
Okay.
So like $1 a kilo or something. No, like less than $1, like 50 cents a kilo. and then it went up to, it was at 3 pesos. It went up to 30 pesos a kilo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like $15 a kilo. So the prices of the actual plant went up, and right now it's because it has a life of there's a, what do you call it? How would I say it? There's a cycle, right? Since the plants take 6 to 7 to 8 years to mature, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden there's an abundance of plants, so the price drops, right? And then all of a sudden it takes a while for them to grow back, so there's a scarcity, so the price goes up, you know.
Interesting.
That's so then right now it's back down to where I started, so in the next 10 years it'll happen again.
Gotcha. And
So it is a wave, and it's always, that's why you have mixtos. That's why mixtos exist, because of that. The blanco is probably in the 20s. The reposado is always also like in the 20s, and the extra añejo is like in the 60s, and that's like the lowest priced extra añejo on the market. Usually they're like 130, 150 to $300 a bottle, and I'm trying to have everybody be able to buy a good tequila, you know, a great tequila without spending a whole bunch of money. You know?
So we just heard Julio talk about the pricing on his bottles. Specifically, what I found really interesting, in number one is kind of similar price point. The extra añejo, this is like $60 or something, right? I mean, like, I can't think of another extra añejo besides perhaps number one, but I think it's even a little higher than this, that you can buy for that price point. Like, if you get into an extra añejo, you're $100 plus without blinking an eye.
So what makes it an even better buy, though, is for you specifically.
Is the proofing on this.
It's not just 40%.
No, 44%.
But all these are, not just that one.
Yeah, the whole line. Which we had, I think, a Simpra Valley, I think was the high proof, still strength, I think it was 100 proof Blanco, and we loved it.
It's really good.
I think we killed it. I don't think it's up there anymore.
Oh, I think there's about this much left in the bottom of it. I could be wrong, but I think there's a little smidge in it.
Phenomenal stuff. And we just assumed, hey, we're drunks, we like high proof stuff, and that's where it's at. Turns out we think there might be a little more. There's
Reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
You can tell if someone's actually taking care and picking out the plants that are cooked, and there's some that you say, they just threw it all in. And I like the higher proof, the better. So if they're lower, if they're under 44, 45%, then it's like, it's not that good. Usually I like the 50, the 46%, 45, over 45. And then so you get really oily, you know, there's a lot of character to it, no? Instead of when it's 40 or under, it just burns, you know? So, and that goes for any alcohol. I mean, all the bourbons that you see, you know, they're all 46, 47, you know, still strength, you know?
Yeah.
They're all high proof.
The thing we didn't say up front that we usually say right when we open a bottle of tequila is the nom number is 1431, if I've not forgotten what I was saying. 1531, sorry. 1531. And then we had the opportunity to talk to Julio about what that meant as a nom number. It was pretty much what we always thought we was, but it was nice to hear somebody say this is exactly what this nom number means and why it's important.
Nom is just, like, let's say you have a distillery, you're going to have your own nom. So the nom identifies the distillery, where it's from, right? So that's basically
someone from Buffalo Trace.
that would Buffalo Trace would have its nom. Here.
Gotcha.
So it's the norm, like it's the norm of that distillery. So you know that distillery is in that place and nobody else has that. Like you someone, like, let's say if I want to make another tequila and I have to go, like, and then I'm not gonna go to that distillery. My bottles are gonna have a different nom. The nom identifies the distillery.
So noms is still important to us.
Yes.
We're slowly understanding why it's important to other people as well. That being said, one of the tequilas that I dearly fell in love with was Tequila Ocho, and the one that we got to begin with was the single estate Tequila Ocho. And then we had that again.
I'm gonna correct you.
What? Okay.
All Ocho stuff, all Tequila Ocho, is all single estate. From my understanding.
Okay. You mean it says single estate or is single estate?
It says single estate on the bottle, but so we had a special bottle that was from a certain estate. My understanding with Tequila Ocho is that the noms will actually float for Tequila Ocho is not necessarily just like one nom number. Like they will float.
So it's like signatory type.
Kinda, yeah. They will float to other distilleries and stuff, and like so the one we got I think was maybe a more rare nom number that they were like, we want this for this special bottle, because it was a Reposado I think, and it was like $200 or something a bottle. We didn't buy that. It was a Colby.
It was up there a ways. I don't remember.
And a normal repo from Ocho is in that $60 to $80 range.
Yeah. I say that usually it's about $80, something like that, which I really like.
But I think all this stuff is single estate. But single estate doesn't necessarily mean that everything was done on the estate. Single estate just means the tequila itself, then the nom numbers, right?
All comes from one spot, supposedly.
No, I'm backing up.
Yeah.
I don't know, cut all that or leave it in and make it look like an idiot. But the nom numbers mean that everything was produced, or like the tequila itself was produced on that location.
Yeah.
Single estate means all of the agave were grown.
In one spot. Yeah, they own their own agave. It comes from one place, and they processed it.
Yes.
But as Julio said, a lot of places get them from wherever. So
it's a market, right? Like
which is kind of back to the pricing and why it goes up and down. We'll jump to that. I guess right now, let's just do it now.
If you go to tequila, most of like in Orendine, I work with the Orendine family. And those are like the families that they have the terrain. Also, where we Rivesca, where we make Torre de Lidia and Rejon, and number one, they have their own plants as well, right? So a lot of these families, they're old families, they have their territories and they grow agaves, right? But most distilleries buy agaves from the market.
Yeah.
You know, they don't grow their plants, right? So
I remember talking to Alex.
The Orendines, the Sausas, they still own the properties and they still grow their own plants.
Gotcha.
You know, and also of course the Herradura, right? But they go through so much. I mean, you don't even know where it's coming from anymore. You know, it's whatever's. It's like the stock market. So I worked with a restaurant in Philadelphia, and I learned from them, and they said, we want a document for in this bottle, this lot, where do all the plants come from that are in this bottle? And so we went to the CRT and we asked them, and they gave us a printout of it's 30% comes from this, I would say vineyard, but they're called predio, a predio, and 40% comes from this predio. So all the plants that are in that bottle come from different plantations, basically different fields, right? It could be highland, it could be lowland, it could be the valley, but they all come from different places. They're not all one single single estate plants, so that's why some people may say that single estate, maybe not, but if you really want to make sure it's single estate, ask them for the paperwork for that lot, and you can tell right there if it's all from that same estate or if they get it from different places.
He said there's otherwise no way to really know for sure. You had to ask the provenance for it.
I think
which is a little shadier than what if you did that with a bourbon.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think this is a sleeper, like a sleeper label. For someone who likes tequila, I feel like this checks all the boxes. Like non-additive, as hands-on as you can be and still have decently priced product. Great label, great story, great juice. I think the decision to jump from Repo to Extra Añejo makes a load of sense when you understand that you're getting a product that's already aged pretty damn long.
Guys, I hope it is a sleeper. If it is, and this becomes one of the most popular tequilas ever, nobody that I've ever met deserves it more. Julio is such a sweetheart of a guy. He is so down to earth. He's invited us to come down to some of their Sotol events. Hopefully we can. I don't know if that's a thing or not. We'll see. Obviously, you guys hang out with us. If you enjoyed this, comment down below. Let us know. Tell us what you like, what you didn't like, what you want us to change back. Do you want us to take the time to do the research and this, or you want us to just take 9 minutes of your life and say what we got to say and get out of there? Other than that, look forward to at least one more episode of this. He's also sent us a bottle of Sotol, a bottle of Garcia, and a bottle of Posh. And then I think we've got some more stuff coming too. Is Mezcal, which we haven't even talked about yet, and
this is the
other things that
This is the education that we needed so long ago.
Which I think most of the things that he corrected us on will come in the next episode. We said a lot of things that was I won't say stupid, we just didn't know.
I will also throw this out there, in that I don't think anything that we learned or advanced ourselves in knowledge-wise from Julio will do anything to abate the comments we've gotten on YouTube videos. Like, I also think
we got no language lessons. Lessons.
They're still wrong.
Can't do English. Can't do English either.
All right. Well, hey, I don't know if we're supposed to do this in this room or not.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm going to have a little splash more because I don't even have enough to toast with. So we'll just give just a little bit there. We'll give it a little bit right there. Oh, I'll get you a little more than me. But all right.
You did.
I'll make it up in a minute.
All right. Until next time.
Whether it's the bottle, you can't get screw cap back on.
Oh, the screw cap is a screw cap?
Clothes you're wearing.
Or the people you're meeting, grab a buddy and try something new.
Good.